Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Stella Olivia Kikoy. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Stella Woman magazine. Stella Woman magazine is here to bring you thriving women's stories across the globe, knowledge and experiences so that you too can learn one or two things, be inspired, change, and thrive in your life. We believe that knowledge is power, especially if acted upon, and that knowledge can alleviate poverty. Knowledge can help to change perspectives and bring about possibilities in people's lives. And the best way to start is to start with a woman. Once you change a woman's life, there's a high potential that you will change a family and you will change a community and the world at large. In that way, we shall be able to change, make the world a better and a brighter world. So today we are very lucky and very, very thrilled to be interviewing an amazing stellar woman, Rene Byrd. And Rene is a songwriter, she's a singer, she's an inspiring woman who goes out of the way to inspire other women, but she also does a lot of work, as we are going to find out, with Nelson Mandela Foundation. And there's more about this stellar woman that you're going to learn from her story and from her experiences. We are very honored to have you here, Rene.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm absolutely honored to be on your show today and to, inspire and be amongst incredible women. So thank you so much for choosing me.
Oh, thank you. So we want to start with you telling us more, apart from the little bit that we think we know, and we felt like we needed to get you here to know more about you. Tell us, who is Rene Byrd?
Wow, Rene Byrd. Rene Byrd is I would say, sensitive, strong, because you have to be both, woman. I am a singer, so very creative. So it can be very emotional because I'm creative. Very in tune with what's going on in the world. Over the last 2 years now, all of us have been affected by the pandemic. So I've been very sensitive to what people have had to go through, and writing songs. And I had a song literally that came out just before the pandemic called Born Again. So it was quite fitting for people to feel inspired and hopefully keep that warmth realigned. I'm a person that has a lot of positioning in my role as a singer and the positioning as a content creator, influencer. But I also believe everything you do is for others. It's not for your gift is to give. So a lot of what I do is hopefully to heal hearts, make people feel good with music. And equally, even in the pandemic time, I created something which was a platform for purpose, which was always there, but it became even more prevalent at that time, because no one was able to perform, no one was able to do gigs, festivals, or anything. So I had to sit and think about what could I do at that time to inspire and educate and help give some guidance to people at that time. And Who Am I Talk was created. So who is Rene Byrd? She's a little bit more than just the vocalist, the singer, songwriter. She wants to hopefully be able to pass over, pay forward, and show people they can be anything they want to be, and use what I have and my experience to guide and to empower, because we don't empower each other enough as women. We sometimes, sadly, don't fix each other's crowns. We want to be the only one that does it. I don't come from that perspective. It's all about whatever you can do to help others, you hand that over. So that's what I would say I am as Rene Byrd. Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. It's almost making me cry. Just at the beginning of the interview. So, still, thank you. So what is your backstory?
Wow. It's all very cliche, but I do come from a religious background. My grandfather was a bishop, one of the very few that in the 1950s from the Caribbean, Jamaica, that created and helped navigate the denomination, which is Pentecostalism. So as a youngster, I was in church, not in the choir, just had to attend because that was what you had to do back then when he was young. We had no choice but to go to Sunday school. So around me was always music, and a lot of the great musicians that you see have come up who are working with some of the secular acts have come from whether my grandfather's church or even now my uncle, who is in for Ruach Ministries, is also a bishop. So because of that, I had no choice but to hear music. hear some of the best vocalists in the country. And then my father, coming from that background, he was a musician. So my backstory is music from every genre, every perspective. But one of the things they were really excited about, they were making sure that you educated yourself, because being in the music industry, there's two elements. You've got the music side, which is great, creative, but you also have the business side. So it's important that you have something to enable you to navigate that terrain of entertainment. So my father was my inspiration. He was signed to a label in 1980s, an RCA, which housed quite a lot of well-known people you would know now. But he was signed around the same time as Teddy Pendergrass. And as a child, I used to go to all the festivals that are happening in the summer. Wow. But we had one in particular where I sat literally on stage. I wasn't allowed to move, so I was captivated. And on that stage was Sade, was Sting, all these acts. I used to sit there with my mouth open. So music has always been around me, and I knew very, very young that was really what I wanted to do. I remember running on the stage and grabbing the mic when they had an intermission and singing my little song and serenading the crowd. And my father was in the back mixing with other people, and thought, oh my gosh, she's let loose. So it's always been there, and have had some of the best mentors to help me be what I am now. So the backstory, and it continues, you're always learning in this industry. They've got incredible people around me, a lady who's very well known in the house industry, called a First Lady of House in the UK, Kim Mazel. She's like my second mum in the industry. So I'm around everybody, incredible women, again, that help inspire me.
Oh, wow. That's really amazing. Have you always wanted to be a singer? Have you always?
So, quietly, I always had a little, and I know it's so cliche, but I used to walk around with a brush, or at the time it was a cassette, so, you know, you can kind of give it the era. And I used to literally play it back and sing with the little mic. And it's always been entertainment. I've always been that kind of flamboyance. But I never understood it until I got older, you know, what you can do with it. I was very shy. I used to sing behind doors. I couldn't do anything on stage. That was petrifying to me. But when you started realizing the power of voice, then I started using it and really wanting to share. It's something very powerful about being able to share your gift and then help others with the gift. Yeah.
That's it. That's amazing. Really realizing that you have a gift and you're there to actually use it, to share it, to inspire, to make a difference.
Yes.
That's very great. Thank you very much. So tell us about Who Am I talk show.
Yeah, and like I said earlier,
what inspired you to start the show?
Well, it was the pandemic. It was in 2020, we all remember. February of 2020, I released a debut single, Born Again. All the work that goes behind that, the photo shoots, the publicity, release of the single, you name it. And then literally February, as you know, March 2020, I think it was the 21st to be precise, Mr. Boris came on in mic and said, oh, we're all under lockdown. And the world changed. And I remember it vividly because I was devastated, because, you know, anyone that's understanding entertainment, it's a lot that you put into a campaign for music. And I was like, what do I do? You know, I can't make it about myself at this time, because everyone was petrified about this unseen thing that's in the air that's sadly killing people. So I realized very quickly I have to use the platform that I have, and I have a lot of people who follow, and hopefully I'm helping to inspire. Let's try something, and let's do something to use the platform for others to use the platform. And myself and my brother, Tesley, we co-founded the Who Am I Talk, and I have a lot of people I knew. So we decided, let's gather these people and share their story, because everybody has a story to tell. And hopefully at that time to inspire them, to give them some tips, hairdressers, fitness instructors, nutritionists, and then celebrity friends. And then it just grew to the point where I was literally nominated for the Online Influence Awards in 2020. So out of the blue, that was something that I did for completely different to what I do. I'm a singer, presenting is very different. That happened. And I just saw it as a conversation, because we like to talk, don't we? Yeah. And everyone was on Zoom, everyone was using these different online platform ways to communicate. Let's just do it. And that's kind of how it happened. And it was very organic, but 40 odd episodes later, I can't believe it, where it is and where it could go.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Starting from The origin of it really is amazing. It can really inspire anyone to start something. Um, just start by giving. Wow, that's great. Thank you. You are the online influencer. This is connected to what we're just talking about. You are an online influence. You are the Online Influence Awards finalist for 2020. What was your path like to get here? I think you've sort of answered it. What was
Say that again, sorry.
You are an Online Influence Award finalist for 2020.
Yeah.
What was your path to get there, to get the finalist?
Yeah, I was nominated, and I still don't know to this day who nominated me. They did say, so someone nominated me.
Yeah.
Obviously put forward the case, and then I was contacted by the organization, I think Vielio, who look after journalists and people who do things online. And they just told me out of 3,000 applicants, I was down to the last 6 or 5 or something like that. Incredible.
Yeah,
so
incredible, yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. So that was just, I was doing what I was doing, but obviously in the background, people were looking and viewing and decided that they wanted to put me forward. So that's actually how it happened. So I was incredibly chuffed. Yeah, amazing.
That was good. That was good. So you've created a space where people freely talk, that is in the show, about their stories. How do you deal with any form of negative criticism or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be somebody that's not going to like who you are and what you are about. But I think you always take it in a sense where it's a not reflection on yourself and you send love. I'm not that negative person. I'm a person that kind of, they say, I remember Michelle Obama's classic line, when they go low, what do? You go high.
You go high.
And no matter what, 90% of the time, I don't take it on or use it negatively. I try my hardest to maybe understand what is the reason why they could feel that way, if there is anything. Some people are going right now in this country or around the world, people are going through lots of different things, and some people lash out when they're going through things. So you have to always try to understand, why is it that somebody could feel the way they do. And and the criticism, depending, you take constructively as well, because it could be something that's going to make me better. So not everything that someone might say would be something you could take negatively. You think when you're in an interview or you're going for a job, some people might say, well, this is the feedback. You take it on the head, or you go, well, I don't agree, or agree. But things are there to make you better. That's how I look at it. But no, I handle it, and I'm just always very mindful when I've had these interviews. There's been some sensitive subjects that do come up. I'm very aware of not putting too much of my hard views, because you have to be mindful that people could be going through things and you could offend them. So I think it's giving people a safe space, allowing them to be free, and not allowing them to say anything which is going to offend my audience, because that's very, political correct is important, but equally allow people to express themselves. And that's like when we do put it on certain platforms, you have to let them know that there could be sensitive subjects mentioned. I think I had a lady who sadly was involved and experienced, and thankfully she's here to tell the story, honor killings. That's horrible and it's very sensitive. But I allowed her to breathe and speak and be free. And I'm sure other people would have empathized with her experience. So you just got to play it as it happens. But criticism, being in the public eye, that's all people do. You have trolls. That's who they are. You just don't take them on. They say there's a point when you don't actually look at press when you get to a certain level, because people are going to speak about your skin, your hair, your relationship, your body, and you'll just end up becoming really horrible and upset and angry if you was to listen to everything. So you just got to be able to separate and just keep sending love when people have got something negative to say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you. That's a good one. Good advice. Yes. So what do you think are some of the impacts your show has had on the audience ever since it started?
Yeah, I've been given some amazing feedback. One of, in particular, there was a lady that I interviewed, this was in the heart of the pandemic, and she basically was giving advice in business, helping people to navigate if they wanted to, pivot their business at that time, because a lot of that happened. A lot of people maybe had standalone shops. That wasn't happening, was it? Wasn't going out. There's times we had lockdowns, we couldn't even go into stores other than food stores. So she was there advising people how to manage their accounts and things like that. And she ended up creating a podcast on the back of what I did as Who Am I? Because of my inspiration, she said, you know what, you did it. You inspired me to go and do that also. And that was incredible to hear.
Yeah.
So that was just one part of you doing something to inspire someone else is inspired.
Wow.
And create a podcast. And that, I'm so chuffed even to this day that she did that.
Exactly.
And just, nutritionists at that time, everyone was so scared of what we call COVID. I sadly contracted it and being very sick and actually still battling with well-being as a result. But there was people on there that were actually helping you to know what you can eat, you know, what's good for your vitamin C intake and stuff. So I watched it. It was on Instagram Live in the first instance, and I moved it over to like a Zoom that we're having. And people will be commenting and asking questions. So there was interaction, and you can see people just wanted to hear, because at the time we was at home, everyone was at home. So there was an opportunity to learn something new and also to encourage others. If there was a role or an industry that they've never heard about, go do it. Why not? So it was doing things that I wasn't aware of, just having a conversation. People were learning and just feeling empowered to say, right, maybe after this pandemic, I'm going to do it instead of waiting. So that's what I think it did a lot of the time.
Yes, amazing. Great impact. And you just got feedback exactly of why you started it. So that's amazing. Yeah. Very good. Thank you for that. Yeah. So what about being an ambassador for Nelson Mandela Children's Fund? How do you get others to, how is that, first of all, how is that being an ambassador?
It's been incredible. I remember watching him when he was just being freed, and they had lots of concerts and lots of news bites and stories about this great icon, Mr. Mandela. Little did I know, years later, I would be connected to who is a dear friend now, Kathy Scott, the director for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, who organized like his big birthdays that you would have seen, those big festivals, and was very close to this gentleman that we call Mr. Mandela. Being an ambassador for him, it actually was bigger than what I do as an artist, because he was incredible and he still is an icon. What he stood for, what he went through, and how the resilience in him and how he dealt with horrible situations and rose up regardless. To be a part of his legacy made me realize that I need to maintain that level. So be that legacy builder, and always remember, if you're representing him, what would he have done in this time? I thought about it, a lot of things that happened, even in the pandemic with George Floyd. What would Mr. Mandela have said? How would he have felt? You start thinking about things that affect you or things that happen in the world, Ukraine, what would he have said? And when you've had somebody like that in the background that you represent, you have to do things correctly. Makes sense? You've got to make sure you maintain a level of respect and dignity because of who he was as a man. So I am honored beyond belief. I've done lots of performances. I was at an event actually a few days ago at Mantu Souls, and we did a charity event there, and I performed for them. I've performed for corporate events on behalf of the charity. The most significant was the day of his passing. We was at the Nelson Mandela tribute. It was basically the Long Walk to Freedom with Idris Elba, who played it, the royal premiere. And at that point of that night, he passed away. And I was then nominated to represent the charity on Sky News and talk about him. I had no idea that through watching him as a child, that in my adulthood, I'll be a person that speaks on his behalf. And I think that's one of my accolades that I've always held on to, being a part of someone so incredible. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I just got into, when I went to Johannesburg, I just went to the foundation and got into his office, and I felt connected. But then I feel that you have a different way. The connection is even different. It's even representing his own work and his legacy. That's amazing.
Incredible. And I don't take it for granted, when I see him pop up on TV and they speak about him or they have events, I always say to my friend Kathy, how do you feel? She was close to him. you just said, it's just incredible. And his legacy will live on. It's not going anywhere, is that?
No,
As
no.
long as we're around, as long as we live, you always hear
Yeah.
about Mr. Mandela, or Mambiba, as they call him.
Yes, 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 yes. An incredible man. So well done. Thank you for doing the work that you do there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. What's the most difficult part? So this particular theme of the Stellar Woman magazine is about leadership. And you have all these roles that you play. And we want to know first, how would you define leadership?
Wow. Leadership is about you as well as the others you lead. Some of the most powerful leaders are their personality, their balance, and the respect that they give is what they receive. So I give a good example. When I think of my role models in leadership are the likes of Mr. and Mrs. Obama. They were educated. They were they personified elegance and class. They were respectful of all, but they stood for what they spoke about. So what I mean, they had the standing to be able to lead. Yeah, their journey, they could relate to so many different people in the world because of their humble beginnings to then become leaders. Yeah, there was nothing, and up to this day, and there never will be any sort of backlash or any naysayers about what could be going on in the background with them as a couple. They stood for so much as the first people of color in that position. That is leadership to me. What you are as a person, what your standing is, and where you've come from, and how you connect. And there's not been a lot of leaders that have been able to do that with your people. If you're leading a company, not that they're going to be your friends, but you want them to respect you and to respect the vision that you have for the organization. There's nothing better than when you've worked for people or had business partnerships and you actually feel connected to the person that you're working with and you respect them. When you respect them, they want to work for you or want to do things with you or have relationships with you. Equally, there's another part of leadership where there are times things go wrong, and being humble and acknowledging that element is also equally important. So there will be times that things have gone wrong and somebody's apologized, because when you are in that position, you're under more scrutiny. So it's being accountable for things that are good or bad, and just being real, because so much people are living in different guises. So trying your best to be as authentic as you can be. That's what I think is leadership.
Very good. Thank you very much. Being authentic. And I think you've answered this in a way, but what is the most difficult part about being in your leadership role? What's the most difficult part? Because most women would be scared of leadership. So what for you, what is the difficult part of being in your leadership?
I think it's, you want everyone to be happy, but there's going to be times you can't be, because unfortunately, a lot of the time we have a business, and the bigger the business, there's more people you're accountable to. So it's maintaining separation so they have respect, but equally keeping that collectiveness so people feel they are part of something. So that's hard. Being a woman and then having the added hat as a Black woman, because we can't forget that, that's what they see. Removing stereotypical ideas about what they might view me as a person, as a woman and a Black woman. And having to be exceptionally resilient, because that's what you have to have as a woman in general. As a woman of color, a lot of times I've walked into environments and they're not expecting me to be the position I am. They've actually downgraded me. Not to say that the downgrade was wrong either, because everyone has a position and plays a big part of the jigsaw, but they don't interpret that you will be that person. Are you here? Maybe you're taking minutes, as opposed to you're the one that's going to get on and speak on the podium. Those things, and not reacting to when it happens in a way which makes them feel that you're almost being too girly about it, being still eloquent in your responses. And that's a daily battle, because it is a man's world, unfortunately, in that respect. So a lot of the time when we are in positions which is more male dominated, they don't expect you to be in that position. And that can be really tough. Yes. But the grace that you have with it is even better.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much. That. And in terms of your team, how do you keep them? You've still mentioned it a little bit somewhere in the past question. How do you keep them motivated in amidst any form of obstacles or challenges that you could have?
You know what, people always want to be told when they're doing well. It's very good. We're very good at and easy at telling people when they've done things wrong. But motivating people is actually giving them the good before the bad and telling them if it is bad, how they can get better. It's easy to say you've done this wrong, but then giving them the guidance and trying your hardest to see, because everyone has different skill sets and some people are very good at some and some things are they're still battling with the others. What you don't do is not at least try to make them better. So I think one of the critical things is to keep people motivated by telling them that they are special, because there's something really powerful when I say it from how I've received information when I've worked for others and worked for others, is someone tells you, you know what, thank you for that. You did a great job. It makes you feel good, doesn't it?
It does.
So you need to find within whatever the role is, something that that person's achieved to give that encouragement and to say thank you for all the work that you've done. And that just keeps them motivated. But when there is something you are delivering bad news, how that's done is equally important, because you want them to take the criticism to make them better, not to make them feel all put their back up. So getting that balance is really important.
It is. It is. Thank
you're,
you.
You're not strong without a team. You are stronger with the team. But if you think you're one and no one else can help, it can cause more friction than necessary.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. 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 Indeed. So you're stronger with the team.
Absolutely.
I like that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and then how do you foster? I think you've answered that. I have to leave that. It was how do you foster positive work environment for your team? But I think I get
yeah, it's a positivity, and also just involving them. It's a lot of people feel there's lots of strikes going on right now in London. Okay, and why is that? Because people are feeling underappreciated. So no one's been heard, so they're like, right, I'm going to go to my union and I'm going to strike. If maybe the people who are above and a bit more in senior positions started looking at root causes and said, what can we do to make these people feel better? Not everything's going to be done. We can't honor every single request, but at least at the bare minimum, we're going to try to give them a positive or safe environment to work in, an environment which is less toxic or whatever that may be. Then you get the most out of those people, because people actually generally want to just do a job, want to be able to be there and relax and be there and feel comfortable and safe. The moment that safety is removed from them or they feel uncertain, what do? They move. So it's having the balance of seniority, leadership versus making people feel that they're wanted and appreciated. It goes back to that word again. And letting them see the growth that they've been contributed to, because there's nothing worse where it's a stagnant situation, nothing's growing. People can see growth, then they're, wow, I'm a part of this, whether it be me as an artist, my song goes out and I start getting more awards. They started all of this. They need to see growth. So it's been giving them that opportunity and opening, but enabling them and making them feel empowered that, and also not everyone's going to be with you forever, but when they do move on, you want them to know that they've left something amazing and they've gained experience and they can speak highly of you when they've left you. Nothing worse than moving on and thinking, oh, that boss was horrible. You don't want that kind of background behind yourself.
That's true. That's true. Amazing. Thank you very much. And what kind of leadership style do you use?
I'm very open door. Okay. There are times that you have to pull back. As I said, if you had to let somebody go, they're your friend, it's even harder, isn't it? But it isn't, I don't want anyone to feel they can't come and ask a question or come to me if there's something concerning. What you don't want is secrets around an office. It's nothing worse, because it breeds contempt and people can start doing things which are unlawful as well as unethical. So if they can feel that it can come to you before it blows up, if there's any issue, they can actually deal with it in first base, as I call it. So I'm quite open, but there's lines, but there's openness that you should be able to come and share, because that one person could give you something that could change your world. And sometimes we can, as leaders or people who are on top, feel that they can't be told anything or there's no way for innovation or change.
Yeah.
There is everyone in your team has something to add and to share. So openness is maybe too open sometimes, but very open.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've listed for us the leaders that inspire you. Do you have more apart from Mr. and
Yeah,
Mrs. Obama?
yeah. The Obamas, obviously, Oprah is a leader. She is like class of her own, isn't she? Where she comes from again. I love as a couple because they are in the music industry, and I do quote a lot of entertainment people, but that's my obviously where I'm based. I do love Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're a couple.
Yes.
They're power couple,
Yeah.
and they're equally amazing as each other, not
Yes.
singular, but somehow they manage to still come together, still be a family, still
Yes.
represent Black love, still represent the power of success of a Black couple. I think they're incredible. So
Exactly.
they're the bunch that I think. And I say this because I can understand and connect because of my Black background, what they would have had to have done and the journey they've had to get to that success. So that's why I feel a bit more connected than maybe if it was a different culture or a different industry.
Amazing. Yes, they are really great. Yes.
Incredible.
Proper power couple.
They are
Yes.
very
Yes.
so.
And how do you define success?
There's different levels. A lot of people will see it's money, but money doesn't bring success or happiness, if I'll be honest, and I've seen that. Peace is really important. That there is a level of comfortable to your family and they're able to have something to lean on. So I do have that element. I'll be lying. A lot of people go, oh, it's not only that. But then small wins could be success. So a good example, what happened with the Who Am I talk, I released a single beforehand, but the success of the Who Am I was incredible, even though it was not what I'm set out to do. My main skill set is music, but yet through something completely different, I done very well from it. So the small wins are what I see as success, is tiny ones that maybe equate to big things, but everything you do as you get one step further to your purpose and your goal, to me, is a success.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's really great. Thank you. So we want to know, have you failed at anything?
Oh, loads of stuff. Losing weight is one of them. It's one of the hardest things. I don't care. People lie, but every Monday is a new diet. And also just learning about communication skills. Everyone's different. So that's a constant battle to learn that not everyone you will gel with or understand and be able to communicate with. So that's I would say a failure, but it's an ongoing learning, and experience. I'm very creative. I'm not good at everything, but I can attack a lot of stuff. When you're creative, you find you're quite open to different energies and different experiences. But I'm not perfect at loads of things some people are so skilled at. And knowing that there's times when you're going on your journey, when you can have to stop instead of actually keep pursuing something. I think we're not good at that. We think, well, I think I can do it, so I'm going to keep pushing. And just knowing that actually that might expired, move on, find something else. That I'm not very good at saying no and knowing when you can pause, unless I'm forced to pause. A good example, just my health has been really a journey for me of late. And I've had to pause because I was an optimist before. I was doing everything. But now I realize, and everyone's realizing the well-being in the pandemic, that health is everything. You have that, you don't have anything. So, when I say failure, I think it's just recognizing things that you do which can make you better, because we're not perfect and it's an ongoing journey to get better. It's like an ongoing process. It's not, no one's perfect. Everyone has things they're battling with. Some people are happy, some people are sad, and just recognizing it's okay, it's okay.
Yes, that was the next part of the question, because I wanted to know, how do you manage to get up when you feel that you haven't got what you wanted? How do you put your spirit and your
It's
body up?
hard. It's hard because we have a lot of expectations, and also we're hard on ourselves, aren't we? Like, I want to do this and I have a timeline, it's a classic thing. Women, we have timelines for everything: marriage, relationships, having babies, having the best, X amount of money is in a career. But you just got to realize, I mean, pandemic showed all of us, and I mean everybody from all walks of life, every level of success, there was nothing we could do. They all shut down. The borders closed, even down to the private jets were left on the runway. We couldn't do anything. There was no events to go to, no red carpets, no nothing. So what it showed was how fallible we are and how things could just change overnight, and how we're all the same. If that makes any sense, we had the same wants and we had, yeah, some people in a mansion versus somewhere else, but we were still scared. No one knew what was happening. People sadly who had money passed, as well as people that didn't have, there was it was kind of on the same page. It was really interesting, wasn't it, to see. But somehow we all came through it. And I don't think people realize how incredible we are that we got through something so hard. I think because we're just out, we're just like, but we went through, it was locked in our houses. We had to be in our own faults. We had to protect our young and our elderly. We had to deal with losses, and we got through it.
We
and
did.
So it just shows how incredible we are as individuals, and somehow we just have that resilience. And I'm not perfect. I'm always trying to work out and overthinking, hard on myself because I didn't do this and because I should have done that. Yeah. And I've got to get better at just living in the moment. I'm not very good at that.
Yes.
I'm always ahead, like I'm always a week ahead. But even in the pandemic, we was a week ahead and everything stopped. Think about it. I was supposed to travel. I was actually supposed to be going to Charlotte that period, and the borders closed. So as much as how do you deal with those bad things, I'm now trying to just live in the moment more than just think about the future. That's all advice I give to everyone. Just try and live in the moment. Live in where we are right now and then see what happens.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I think it's more real for us to do that, to just be here, be in the moment. Tomorrow is nothing to do with you.
Don't know, and it's not promised. It's proven that, isn't it?
Yes. Moment by moment. It's the real. It's what you can touch. It's what you can experience, and that moment is going to go. So keep living in that moment so that you can fully live. Actually, it's the only way to fully live.
It's hard. It's something that I'm always trying to practice, but it's kind of getting in the psyche and becoming it.
Yes. Instead of being fully absorbed by your worries, anxieties, and all of that. Yeah, they take away your life.
It does. It does. And I think within the pandemic, what happened, I call it the silver lining. Because people had time to think, which we try not to do too much of, but it was a good thing in some respects because it made people realize what purpose is, realize what they've been doing all their life, what they can do better, how they want to change stuff. It actually it was like, a complete and utter shift of mind, and it reset a lot of people. And a lot of people gave up their jobs. They said, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to be happier. I want to maybe travel, whatever happened. But it was a pot that was being stirred, and everyone said and they changed direction. And I think that's the incredible part of the horrible thing we call the pandemic. People change forever, good or bad.
It's good to change. It's important to reset anyway.
That's correct.
We were forced to reset.
Yeah,
okay, thank you for that. So we want to know, what are some of your memorable lessons that you can give on your leadership journey, from your leadership journey at all? Experiences that you think another woman could benefit from?
Be open and curious. Don't think you know it all, because you don't. That's for sure. You're always learning, you're always growing. And definitely surround yourself around people who have either walked the journey or walking the journey, so you can tap into each other as you're going along. We all try to do it on our own. I am my one award. No, the team and the people you have is what actually makes you who you are. The friends that you hold, your associates. And when you do, as I said, things go wrong, it's okay. You know how much successful people have lost everything before they actually became even more successful. So those that will learning curves, I say learning points, and stop being so hard on yourself. It's okay. Some days just don't do anything, relax, because in still moments when you see the most clarity. That's it.
So I've even just got some I just shivered a bit there. You just said something, and I thought, oh my goodness, in still moments, you've
Yes.
just given us a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Wow.
don't think about it. We don't do it. We're always busy. But the quiet time is when you hear, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
I'm a
yes.
woman in Christ, so I'm always thinking of clarity and stillness. That's when you hear the whispers and the thoughts. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. But you also mentioned that other people have made you who you are. That was
They have,
beautiful to
yeah,
bring to the awareness that,
yeah.
yeah, you're not there because of just you. But
Absolutely not. No, that everybody in this earth, when they were born, was made through somebody. But in general, when you start looking at your journey, there's somebody that's given you a mantle, a word, something. It's very rarely that it's me and I'm navigating all of no. Most times people open the doors for you or give you encouragement, or that people have mentors. I don't have a specific mentor, but I have loads of mentees and people that give me words and encouragement and support, because any journey that you have, whatever you have, whether you are a person that is a homemaker who's incredible because you're a mother and raising a child, whether you're a CEO of a company, everybody needs support. So you're going to hear someone goes, my mother helped me, my dad helped me, my grandma helped me, such and such in such and such business who is a Fortune 500 helped me. There's going to be somebody that would have helped you navigate to where you are. Nobody is on their own island. Absolutely not.
okay, fantastic, fantastic. Any particular woman who has inspired you to be the stellar woman you are?
Wow. I would say my mother, that's the first, because I came from her. She epitomizes strength. A Black woman has a lot of strength. All women have a lot of strength, but in particular, because of the way the world will perceive us and what things you have to go through and navigate, they have to have a little bit more resilient than some. Yeah. Um, she's just encouraged me and inspired and showed me that there's nothing impossible. She goes, impossible is possible. And that's the word to her. So I would say, and then just looking at other people that I don't even physically know, that you read their stories, it gives you that little bit of encouragement, because you always feel that your story is a little bit different to others, but you start realizing there's so much similarities between many people
Yes.
across cultures,
Yes.
across worlds, across races. And then you start hearing and thinking, you did it, so can I. So
Yeah.
that's the pathway, isn't it?
That's amazing. You did it, so I can. Yeah, yeah. Great. Thank you. So you have performed and appeared on many big shows, including Beauty.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you have faced on this journey, and how did you overcome them?
I've pitched. One of the hardest things being in the music industry is that you get more no's than yeses, and it can really be disheartening, and you have to be very thick-skinned. The older you become, the less favorable you are, the less sexy you are, because in our industry is very sexual. It's about what you look like. And the more you reveal, the more they want you, sadly. Okay. It's hard because it's a very saturated market, but then that's you understanding that you are special within your own self, which you are anyway. Everyone's special. But there's only one of me, there's only one of Stella. Incredible. So that in itself tells you that. But it's that wanting to keep going regardless, because you can be put off in a millisecond being in the entertainment industry. It is a very male dominated industry. You've seen loads of scenarios in the past, the Me Too movement and things that do occur, and they do occur in our industry. But they're changing, thankfully, because of those things that are now being brought to the surface. And just not every door that you're supposed to be in, you go through. So knowing what is right for your brand is best. So times you're going to actually refuse something that actually looks amazing and all full of lights, but when you look that's around it, it doesn't signify who you are. So you got to use a lot of your intuition and experience to make the right decisions in the performances that you're doing and in the places that you're going to be, and then know your worth behind what you are going to do. In our industry, a lot of people want to get you for free. They do. Can you just go perform for me, Rene? It's just a charity. I've heard it many a times. Yes, and I will always give, because I've shown that through Nelson Mandela Children's Fund and various other places I've done. But there is a level of worth that I have. I'm not free. I'm worth something. So knowing that level and that grounding is really important as well. And that's hard because if you haven't performed for a long time, you think, wow, let me just get on stage because you want to sing.
Yes, yes.
But you still got to understand what your worth is within all of the lights and all the things that people are throwing at you. Just kind of level and keep steadfast in your approach.
That's great advice. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we want to know, with all of that is going on in your life, Rene, how do you get this balance, work life? How do you do it?
You have to be strict. I think I've been told by lots of people who are successful, you've got to schedule in time for you. Sounds crazy, isn't it? If you have more than one thing going on, or you've got multiple projects or multiple things being pulled at you, you've got to say, I am not doing this at this time and I'm going to relax. Otherwise you become burnt out. And that's happened to me many a times where I'm an octopus and I'm just doing and doing. And actually sometimes you can be doing and doing and you haven't actually got anything done because you're so busy on so many different projects. So it's important that you say no when it's not actually going to add value. It's important you say yes, even though it might not make sense. And that's another thing I've learned along the way. Some things are, why am I, but there's a bigger story behind it. Or you go to an event and the chain ball effect of who you meet. So sometimes you've got to follow this thing called intuition, this thing called the spirit, to know what the right decisions are.
Yes.
But the balance comes with other people helping you as well. Because when you're on your own, not recently, but I am with somebody who is my ear and my eye, like, stop. You need sometimes someone telling you, because you just won't. You just keep going because you're like, oh, I've got 24 hours. It's just me. I have my laptop on my bed, bathroom, everywhere. So it's nice when you actually do have to think of someone else because you have to be respectful of their time and the time together. So I found that's helped me a lot. But even then I fight back, phones on in bed and all of that stuff. And just recognizing that tomorrow is okay. Sometimes you can leave it till the next day because actually, because you've left it, you thought about it longer and you've actually made the right decision the next day as opposed to doing it all in one day.
Yeah.
And then this stuff. So it's not easy. It's a constant battle for me to find balance. I'm not saying I found it. No, I haven't.
No.
It's something you've got to always work on. And I think as well, if you've got more than one person relying on you, you'll get better at that because you don't want to mess up and then someone else is affected. Right now, it's just more or less me, isn't it? And a few other people. But the bigger your organization, the bigger your stuff becomes, you can't just do anything. Because think of it like that. You have a massive tour, you work, and you burn out. You're not only affecting the audience, they're paid whatever to see you, your whole team that's put on this event, they're all not going to be able to eat or work. Do you see? Then balance starts coming in. So it all varies according to your position. But it's an ongoing battle for me. I haven't mastered it yet.
No, but you've explained it you've taken me to a new route of actually thinking about it. The fact that it has a greater effect.
It does.
Not just your health, but actually, what about the other people around you? Yes.
Because if you're not coming at your best or putting your best foot forward or your best self first, then as I said, I've been an octopus. I got COVID in February of 2021. My body's not being the same. I'm on a well-being journey right now. And as a result, I haven't been able to perform as much as I haven't. I've got to get in studios, a lot happening that I'm trying to unpick myself. But see, because I didn't rest, not because that's not the main reason, but if I didn't rest, or I'm not resting now to be the best I can, then it affects other people, affects my fans, affects my team. So do you see, sometimes it's when you're doing stuff and not balancing, people who have children, they're running around, their kids will be affected, they don't get the attention that they need. Mm-hmm. And there's and then the husband and the boyfriend and the partner. So when you are not balancing, it's not just your balance, it's everyone else's balance goes out. And I didn't realize that, but it makes you you're more aware of the circular effect.
Yes. And whether it's a baby, you've given a good example, even a baby, there's a time when you can't do anything for them because you have to just shut down completely. Yes. Yeah. And what I find that at some point I have to pay. You have to pay. It's payback to the body. So you're driving to some point.
And then this is, I love that. As you get older, you think you're going to get away with it, and it always catches up with you.
Yeah.
You know? So you have to be kind and love yourself. And I think, as I said, I know the pandemic has made people more aware. Well-being is the new thing for the next, I would say, 4 or 5 years ahead. Yeah. It is. Yes. People are now in tune. They never used to be. Yeah. You know, you get a little bit of a sniffle now. You're getting the PCR tests and the allergen tests. But I will say this, more than ever, if you haven't got health, you have nothing. Yes. No CEO company, no multi-million-dollar, but it doesn't mean anything. No. So it really makes you stop and go, deal with that first, find that balance, and everything else will follow. Yes, that's true. Your health is your wealth, isn't it? Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. So if we have to take you back in time, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? Oh my goodness. I would tell her, take even more risks than you did. As you get older, you're less resistant to that spontaneity. You're like, oh, if I do this, this is going to happen. A good classic example, people won't just jump on a plane and go and do stuff because they've got mortgages and things and commitments, right? Yeah, when you're that young, it's that freedom, that you're curious, you're more inspired, you're less fearless. It's a fearlessness, I would say. Oh, yeah. Take more risk and be more fearless, I would say. And don't listen to nobody unless it's going to add value to you. So people sometimes tell you stuff and it's actually not for you to get better. It's for you to stop because it reflects on them. It's weird. People do some weird stuff. Yes. That's what I would say. Yeah. And just be curious all the time and do as much jobs as you can. Don't just stick with one area. See who you are, because a lot of people don't know who they are. And there's so many people are doing things that are not what their purpose is. You know that? You know how sad that is? Yes. I'm not talking about music. I'm not talking about creativity. I'm just talking in general. If we were to do a survey and look at people who have a job, that's what they do day in, day out, whatever that is, and they're not doing their purpose. That's sad. We're here for that reason. Exactly. That's a good one. Thank you very much. And we want to know, if you look at leaders, if you have broad experience, so you can give us from whatever you have to. What are the qualities that are lacking in today's leaders? Oh, goodness. Ego is one of the things that, you said, what are the qualities that are lacking? They've got too much ego, to say. So you only look at the wars that are happening in the world. There's no compassion. If you had compassion, there would be no war, would there? Yes. Yeah. What you need is people to be compassionate, to be aware and in tune with what's going on with the world, in tune with different cultures, in tune with what effects your decisions make on others. Yes. You put interest rates up, or you change this, or you do that. What effect does it have? Not what you see from your paradigm or your world or your spectrum. What really, the best leaders are aware and in tune with their people. Nothing better than that. And you get the most out. Because remember I told you, it brings it back to what I said, appreciation. The moment a society or a company or individuals or employees feel appreciated, what happens? They work harder. Don't even need to ask them to work overtime. They're like, they just keep working because they can see and they feel part of something. So that compassion, that appreciation and awareness is so lacking in leaders of today. And we need more. We need more of that. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for that. And when you look at women, what do you think hinders women from becoming great leaders that they're called to be? I think a lot of it's self-doubt. We're very critical of ourselves, and we've got much more, not saying men do not have things going on, but we've got more to navigate. We normally run in a home, looking after children at times, being wives, being parents, being boyfriends, girlfriends, and we're quite matriarchal in our families. We don't see enough of us, so we almost feel, well, how can I do that? Because we're looking for comparisons. Men don't think like that. They just go do it. Not worried whether they're in a board with 5 or 10 men, are they? They're just a board of 5 or 10. But we walk in a board and there's one of us and we're like, oh, Does it make sense?
It does.
Imposter syndrome is huge with women.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to get over that.
Mhm.
And realize that actually, if we were running things, there'll be certain things that wouldn't happen, because we don't have ego. We're more compassionate. We feel, we're designed like that. Hormones make us feel and touch. And just that self-doubt, we have too much of that. We sit down and ponder on it instead of just doing it. And men are doers, but it's not our fault because we're created that way. But we need to just go and do it and believe a bit more.
Yes, just take action and believe in ourselves.
Take action, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Not wait for someone to tell us to go do it, because they don't. I'm telling you, they do. They just think about it. You walk in a boardroom, they're not sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, there's another 5 guys." They don't care. So we need to be better at that, But it takes time.
Yeah, it'll take us time. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot that is going on that makes us be or feel the way we feel.
It is. We have a lot amongst us as women. So when we are there, we're fighting against each other. Not saying men don't do that, but we do have this cattiness, and that doesn't help. We're supposed to empower each other constantly, because we are always going to be the minority.
I know that's very true. And in interviewing women, I found that no matter how high they go, they still have a lot of doubts. If they get higher positions, you're getting a position in the board or leading the board, being a chief, the person will resist. Most women will tell you that they felt the need to not go for it, because
go for it, because we might not get it. No, do it. Have that do it mentality. And at least if you've done it, you feel better that you tried.
Yes,
at least worse than wondering or pondering and you didn't do it, then
you don't know. Yeah, and most likely you won't be pleased with whoever took it on, so it would have been you.
That's correct.
Be the change that you need to see in the world. We better then take the position, because we women want particular changes to happen, so we better take on those leadership roles so that we can be able to make the changes that we want.
That's correct, because the more numbers, the more change. That's what I see.
That's true. Thank you very much. And what is your ideal stellar woman qualities? What are your ideal stellar woman qualities?
Definitely empowerment is a really important, because with that encompasses so much. So that means openness, that means togetherness. So the ideal woman for me has to be an empowering woman. So when you're around her, she's empowering you also as herself. Yeah. Compassion is something we kind of have as women anyway, but having a bit more compassion and not seeing yourself in that person, but recognizing that person as individual and accepting them for who they are, and then learning and growing from them. Wow. And being curious, never stop.
Amazing.
Curiosity changes everything, isn't it? When you're curious, you ask questions, you look, you try. If you lose that curiosity, that can just stunt you. And then one final thing is childlike, but not immaturity. Childlike, because then you have fun with it.
Oh, fantastic. Those are great qualities. Empowerment, and then also being curious. You've also talked about being childlike, and you've talked about compassion as well, being compassionate. Yes. Wow, they're great qualities for that stellar woman. We can be empowered to actually strive for those qualities. We can, to be better people. So thank you very much. Now, before we leave, we want to ask you 2 more questions. One, where do we see Rene in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh my God, 5 to 10. A mother, I would love. I'm not blessed with children, so being a mother and running a business which is paying it forward. So whatever that is, so it could be an entertainment side, or it could be in my Who Am I entertainment side, but it's definitely there on top. But I'm actually just handing my baton to everybody. So there's a team of people, I'm just visualizing it. There's teams of people that I either have or are connected to that have learned something from somebody. So it's all about that downloading into others. That's what I see it as. So whatever that business is will be downloading, and they come away and they go, well, that, not me as an individual, but the company helped. They can always refer you back, because that's what it is, isn't it? That's the success, when someone goes, yeah, that company helped me be this. ain't nothing better than that. Or I met somebody at that company and that happened.
Yeah.
So it's that interconnection of something. And I can't put my finger on what it is right now because God hasn't given me that clarity. But the business or whatever I have or what I'm a part of will be making some incredible women, incredible people, because not just women, just incredible people that can speak and they can grow. That's what I would like in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, thank you. Any single coming on? Any single? Because I know the Born Again.
Yeah, Born Again is still circulating and still doing exceptionally well, I must add. Because of my condition, I haven't been in the studio, but I'm working through that. And then I'll be working on my follow-up. And then, yeah, that's another powerful song, if that's the one I choose. So hopefully I'll heal some hearts and keep people inspired about what they can do next.
Yeah. How did you come to start it? What was that that's really made you go for Born Again?
You know what? It was a song, it's a cover. A lot of people think it's my song. It's an actual cover adaptation for Sarita and Billy Preston back in 1979. It was years ago, or in the 70s. It was a duet originally. So listening to music, I've listened to all styles of music, as you can imagine. And I remember hearing that duet, which was a slow ballad. And I thought, wow, I love the song. Can I feminize it and make it singular? And I took it and made it singular. So that was the inspiration, and people, they love it all around the world. I'm really blessed.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
It's fun and it's sassy, and it's giving you a story about love is everything, isn't it? That's the center of us all.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So we would like to allow our Stellar Woman subscribers to listen to it. If you haven't yet, do listen to it. So amazing. Now we want you to give our Stellar Woman magazine readers, subscribers a challenge, because this is a leadership theme. We want you to leave them a challenge to be great leaders that they are called to be. What challenge would you like to leave them?
Right. A challenge I want to present to these women is open, and it's not easy for everybody, open your book, because everyone has it. They have people that they know, and think of someone you can help and inspire. So it's a pay it forward. I'm really big about that. We too often do what we're doing, but we don't think or mentor, we don't hand it over to somebody else. So in your network, ring up your network of friends, whoever they may be, and just ask them, is there anything I can do for you? And they'll go, what are we talking about? But ask them, and I bet you they'll go, yeah, actually, and see if anyone in your network you can hand over something to help. And it doesn't have to be a business, it could be just anything. Try and get into that habit. So paying forward who you are and what you can give. Yeah, that's my challenge to you.
Amazing, amazing. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So nice connecting with you, Rene. So anyway, where can our viewers or subscribers find you?
Yeah, so my website is www.renebyrd.com, but I'm very active on the socials, mainly Instagram. So that's Rene Byrd Official, and have a chat. You know, you'll see if I'm reviewing, going to events. I'm up to all sorts of stuff. I've got the new series, the series 3 of Who Am I Talk. I've done so many. So I've got some people, really exciting guests, brands that I'm sharing their stories. So definitely check that out. And that's also on YouTube under Who Am I Talk.
Oh, wow. So there you are. And I hope that you'll be inspired. I have been inspired. I've learned a lot during this time that you've shared with us. So thank you so much for sparing this time. Thank you for giving from the heart. I could feel it. I could feel it. You just gave totally. And I'm sure that there'll be something every woman, every subscriber is going to learn from this interview. And like you said, pay it forward. You can even use whatever Rene has given us here and share it with another woman. You never know whose life you are going to inspire with that bit of knowledge. So this is the Stellar Woman magazine. We are here to bring you thriving women's stories like Rene, to change your life, change your perspective, bring about possibilities in your life. You just need to tap into this knowledge and you need to take action. You talked about action, which is amazing. We just need to be active, take that action to be better so that we can make the world a better and a brighter world. So it is nice being connecting with all of you. Thank you so much. And goodbye from me. And goodbye, Rene. Thank you so much. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.